In this mini lecture, I want to talk a little bit about the differences between an oral citation and an annotated bibliography. Students often get confused between the two, so I want to provide a little bit of clarification. With an oral citation, this is where you are saying the source of your information in your speech. An oral citation is spoken. An annotated bibliography is included in your list of works cited at the end of your preparation outline. It includes the citation, either in MLA or APA format, a brief summary of the source, credibility, which includes credibility, accuracy, recency, and bias, and finally, you will write into your annotated bibliography the oral citation, or how you hope to say the source during your speech. An annotated bibliography is written, and again is included with your list of works cited. So let's break these apart. Let's first look at oral citations. With an oral citation, you want to include enough information so that the audience can decide if your support or evidence is credible. In the oral citation, you would want to include the author, if the author is known. If the author is unknown, you would want to include the source of the information. So for an example, an article on the American Heart Association's website. You would want to say where you found the information. Did you find it on a website, in a magazine, in a book? Perhaps it was through an interview. You would want to include the title, if it's an article, a book, or an interview. And finally, you would want to include the date. When was the information published, or when was the information updated if you are using a website? You may recall from evaluating sources PowerPoint that we looked at oral citation examples. So I just want to reinforce those. So for example, perhaps you use information from a New York Times article and you are going to say the source during your speech. You would want to write the oral citation into your preparation outline and your delivery outline so that you have that readily available to you. You would also be writing the oral citation into your annotated bibliography. This can be a very simple, just copy and paste function between what you write in the outline and what you put in the annotated bibliography. So you could say, according to a May 15th, 2014 article in the New York Times by Martin Dell titled How to Grow Monster Tomatoes, and then you would go on to provide the information. Another example would be, as reported on the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention website, cdc.gov, in an article, Preventing Seasonal Flu with Vaccination. And then you'd go on to provide the information. That's an oral citation. An oral citation is simply how you hope to say the source of your information or your evidence in your speech. Remember that an oral citation, although it may be written into your preparation outline as well as your annotated bibliography, is really how you plan to speak the information during your speech. Let's now turn our attention to an annotated bibliography. This is a bibliography that gives greater detail about a source than just an MLA or an APA citation. There are 4 parts to the annotated bibliography. You would use the citation, either in MLA or APA format. You would want to provide a brief summary of the source. Generally, 2 to 3 sentences is sufficient. You're then going to look at the source credibility. This is really the meat and potatoes of the annotated bibliography. Here you're going to look at the credibility, accuracy, recency, and bias. And we'll talk a little bit more about those in just a moment. And the last part of an annotated bibliography is the oral citation, how you hope to say the source in your speech. So let's take a closer look at this credibility section. The credibility is the information from a trusted source. For example, your speech is about heart disease and you cite information from the American Heart Association and the American Medical Association. You would want to address whether the information is from a trusted source. Does this seem like it's credible? Accuracy would be, is the information true? Perhaps you found similar information with both sources. Is the information accurate? Recent. The information is not old and outdated. So perhaps the information you used was published in 2012 and 2014. And finally, bias. Does the author or the organization responsible for providing the information have an ulterior motive or something to gain from providing the information? So in this case, both the American Heart Association and the American Medical Association could be somewhat biased in that they are nonprofit organizations that seek to promote their cause. Now, I want to note that bias does not mean that the information is not accurate. It just means that there could be some other factors at play and that maybe you need to at least think about that and report that in your annotated bibliography. Remember, the oral citation is included in the annotated bibliography. You want to write your source in your annotated bibliography and your preparation and delivery outlines the way that you hope to say the source in your speech. I recommend including that in the delivery outline because you may need to reference that during your speech. Now, there's an example here of an annotated bibliography. I'm not going to go through everything, but as you can see, it includes the citation, which is Bruce Fogel, a very brief summary of the source, a complete dog care book by a licensed veterinarian. The speaker in this case had used this book in grooming courses that were taken, and she continued to use it when she needed a quick reference. Credibility, as you can see, is addressed in all four areas: credibility, accuracy, recency, and bias. Finally, included in this annotated bibliography example is the oral citation, how this speaker hopes to say the source during the speech. I will tell you that with this particular annotated bibliography, the oral citation was written the exact same way into the preparation outline and was also included in the delivery outline. So you may be saying to yourself, well, why is she making us do an annotated bibliography? Well, believe it or not, I'm not asking you to write an annotated bibliography just to torture you. We are inundated with information. The internet is full of information. How do we know what to trust and what not to trust? Completing an annotated bibliography forces you to at least begin to think about source credibility and information credibility. Can you believe what you're using? Don't make yourself crazy about this. There are certainly plenty of examples out there where information was proven to be untrue. But it does, by completing an annotated bibliography, get you to start thinking about the information that you confront on a daily basis. So just to recap, an oral citation. This is how you will say the source in your speech. An oral citation is spoken. You will write your oral citation in your preparation and delivery outline the way that you hope to say the source in your speech. And it is also one criteria of the annotated bibliography. The annotated bibliography is included with your Works Cited page. It is a written explanation about your source. You are not reading your annotated bibliography during your speech. It is just included with your outline and gives you the opportunity to look at your information that you're using a little more critically. So I hope that this helps to clear up any confusion that there may be between an oral citation and an annotated bibliography.